Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this presentation with SmartCraft. My name is Øystein Lodgaard. I'm the analyst that covers SmartCraft here at ABG. And with me today, I have Gustav Line, who is the CEO of the company. So with that, Gustav Line, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Øystein. And good morning to everyone. Let me take you through SmartCraft. I'll give you a brief presentation. So maybe please switch to slide number 3. So SmartCraft is a company that delivers software for construction companies. And as you can see, construction companies, they are in an industry which is one of the largest industries in the world, but also one of the least digitalized. So digitalization in this sector will happen, and we are a company that's well positioned to be part of this growth in the future. Our focus is small to medium enterprises, and today we are represented in the Nordics, in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. We have about 200 people located in several locations in that area. We have quite a lot of customers and went on the stock exchange June 2021. Please go to the next slide. So what is the challenge for companies in the construction business? Well, basically SME companies, they if they don't have a good digital system to solve mission critical tasks, everything they do will have to be done manually, calling to order parts. They need to fill in different checklists manually and so on. So basically, we help these companies with three things that are mission critical. One, to be in control of your people, to make sure that you have the right people doing the right jobs and that they invoice what they're supposed to invoice the customer. Number two, we focus on our solutions, make sure that you are in control of material, which is very important because this represents about 40% of the cost of the projects. And as you know, inflation has been very high lately. So our customers need to make sure they buy materials at the right price and also that they can invoice the right price to their customers. And then thirdly, documentation. The required documentation on building projects has increased enormously over the last years. And it's very important that our customers can fill in the documentation in the right way. These three things, people, material, and documentation, flowing together in one good flow is what we help our customers with. So please go to the next slide. We see a 10 billion market in the Nordics, and this market is growing double digits every year. The thing is that for mission critical solutions, like I just mentioned, people, material, and documentation, only 1/10 of that market is penetrated. So, which means that there's a large opportunity going forward. And there are also some very nice trends that are in our favor. First of all, these companies lack skilled workers and have done for several years. And also there's a long tail of projects and a long tail of maintenance and service needs for new and existing buildings. This is good news for our customers because they work with service, maintenance, and upgrades mainly, which means that there's work to be done for many years. And also, like I mentioned, that increased demand for digital documentation or documentation in general. This comes from both the regulatory offices that require sort of health and safety documentation, that you look after your people in a proper way, that nobody dies when they're out on the building site, but also that the job is done properly. And this is also filtering down to consumers because consumers want to have more digital documentation about the job that has been done, that they can pass this on when they sell the house. And of course, there are also young people entering this industry, and everything they do is done on a mobile phone, and they also expect to be able to do things using a mobile phone. So I think there's no way this industry is not going to digitalize, It's just a matter of how fast it's going to digitalize. Please, next slide. So if you just take you through very briefly how we help our customers. So if you look at the blue line, that represents the people in the office. They will typically be able to use a web client to send out a quotation, and when the customer accepts, they'll send an order confirmation. Based on that, they will do resource planning, who's going to do the job. They will start to buy materials from different vendors, compare prices digitally. Then they will get automatic invoices in. They will be able to see that the project is balancing, or that they make the right profit. They will be able to see from the field workers any changes to the project and so on. And in the end, when everything has been collected around the project, they can send information to the accounting systems and also to the payroll systems. Out in the field, that's represented by the stapled line. At the same time, the field workers, and about 9 out of 10 people work out in the field. So the field workers can sort of find out where they're going to work. They can find out what they're going to do. Then they can register the number of hours. And also, very importantly, they can do the self-checks as they do the job. Put on the right boots if they are an electrician to make sure they're not electrocuted, to use the right gloves, to remember to turn off the switch. This is something you do as you do the job, not a day after. That could be really dangerous. Similarly, before you close the wall, you make sure that you take pictures, that you fill in the right checklists, and so on. Then change management, very important. Very often the customer's customer would like to do some changes to a project. And of course, capturing that change out in the field makes sure that a company can actually invoice and get acceptance from the customer as they agree the change. It's very difficult to come up with a bill 3 months later saying this is due to the changes that you asked me to do when I was out working. So these are just some examples of how we help our customers. So please move on to the next slide. SmartCraft, we are it's very important for us to have profitable growth. And as you can see, we have been very consistent, delivering a strong organic growth over the last decade. And we will, of course, continue to have that focus going forward. So next, please. So here are some metrics for SmartCraft, and I think there's some things I would like to talk about. In my opinion, I think we want to be a true SaaS company. And a true SaaS company, in my opinion, has a few important traits. One, it has a good organic growth. Of course, the customers want to buy the solution. It's an attractive and good solution. And we can see that SmartCraft has 16% organic growth. Secondly, I think a true SaaS company should aim to be easy to use. It should be very sort of transparent pricing. Customers should easily onboard a solution and so on. SmartCraft has a very high recurring revenue, which I think is a very important trait for a good SaaS company. We have 97% recurring revenue, which is among business-to-business solutions, among the highest in Europe. And that means that we are not having a big consulting department giving the customer a lot of pain or a lot of high bills, because a big consulting department means that you do not make good software. That's why you have a consulting department. We have very little consulting. That's more like expert services. And as you can see, a third factor that I think is very important is a strong EBITDA margin. We have 39% EBITDA, which I think proves that, again, we drive the company profitably. And I think that's super important in order to create discipline in SmartCraft to make great solutions that people want to buy and that we can make money. And I think fourthly, low churn. We have a 5% churn, which again is very high. It's down from 6% that we had a year ago. That's also a mentality in SmartCraft that customers should utilize to the full extent our solutions, and we should really make sure that they are really happy when they buy the solution. So organic growth, recurring revenue, adjusted EBITDA, and churn, very important factors. As you can see, we also grown quite rapidly over the last years with 9 acquisitions. All of those have grown both revenue and EBITDA after we acquired them. So that's interesting. We also have a 55% sales conversion, which means that every time we meet with a customer or when we meet a customer, we turn 55% of those meetings into sales. That's within a calendar year. So we don't lose 45. It's just that within a year we win 55, and then we win some of them the next year. The next slide, please. As you can see, we have a very strong and high quality shareholder base, mostly outside Scandinavia, actually. So that's something to think about for the Scandinavian investors, that you are not present, but a lot of very high quality investors are. And as I mentioned, we do have a solid track record when it comes to M&A, which is part of our strategy. And we also today have no debt and very strong balance sheets, and we create cash every quarter. So next slide, please. We see a lot of good potential to grow. We today have a very sort of nice price point for our customers. It's only 7 kronor per user per day. So we see an opportunity to grow the prices and upsell in the future, but we have not taken that. We want to win customers, and then we can always increase prices at a later stage as we bring more value to the customers. So our main focus is new sales. That's always important when you run a company, to win new customers, and also to upsell and cross-sell on the different customer bases we have. And we also think there's an opportunity to extend our value chain, for example, to our customer's customer. So that's also something we're looking at. And we also see opportunities to take the solutions we have into new geographies that we are already present in, taking a solution from Norway into Sweden or Sweden into Finland and so on. So that's something we're working with, but that's got to take a bit of time, and that's all ahead of us as good opportunities. Yeah, I think, just also at the same time as we want to grow our revenue, we want to continue to look into the churn reducing activities, which means keeping a high recurring revenue, but also being very careful that our customers can easily onboard, use the full extent of the solution, give them a lot of automatic training and so on. So guiding, training and so on is very important, and it should be free of charge so that they can have the benefit of our solutions. Next slide, please. We have a strategy to acquire companies. So far, we have acquired some companies to gain customer base, and we've acquired some other companies because they have some great functionality that we can add on to the existing customer base. And we will continue to do that, both in existing regions, but we're also looking to buy companies outside Scandinavia. And we are in dialogue with quite a lot of companies to see if we can find a good fit. For us, it's super important that we find companies that have some uniqueness to them, that they are not too generic. They need to focus on construction. That's very important. And also that they can show that they are starting to be profitable, or that they are growing nicely. So we see that they are commercially have a proof of concept. And also very importantly, that they have a SaaS understanding and mindset because they need to join the SmartCraft family and really want to help our customers to have the best solutions in the cloud and available on apps. We have, again, money in the bank, no debt, so we have great opportunities, but we will only buy the right companies that we feel are part of our strategy. So we'll have capital discipline. Going into new markets, we will want to buy the customer base and buy the cultural and understanding rather than building this organically, as that takes a lot more time. Yeah, next, please. So to sort of to see on our guiding, we guide on 15 to 20% organic growth, and then the acquisitions that we might buy will come on top of that. And then we expect our margins to increase as we scale the business due to the synergies and how we sort of run the business more efficiently going forward. So next slide, please. Yeah, so I think to sort of round it off, we are in a market that is gonna digitalize. There's a massive opportunity. Loads of companies have still not got good solutions or solutions at all for the mission critical tasks, people, material, and documentation. We have a very strong position. We have excellent solutions. We are a leader in the Nordics. As I told you, we are a true SaaS player. We really drive to be a great company that will grow in the future through sort of the great dynamics that I talked to you about, growth and recurring revenue and low churn and so on. So I think these are some of the important reasons why SmartCraft is going to be a good company going forward. So, but make sure to follow us. You'll find more information if you follow us on the different digital areas. So with that, move to the last slide, please, and I think that opens up for the Q&A.
Yes, thank you very much for an interesting presentation, Gustav. I just wanted to follow up. You said that there's also a possibility for you to move some of your existing solutions into new markets. Would that require any significant investments?
Hi, Øystein. Øystein?
Yeah. Yes.
I think I was cut briefly, so sorry about that. I lost you in a second. So please repeat the question.
If you were to enter into new markets, would that require any significant investments?
Well, our strategy is not to go organically into new markets. We think that's quite difficult because we don't really understand the culture. We don't understand how to do the business. So we would like to buy our way into new markets, preferably by a great company, and then build some trust and understanding together, and then we can take our existing solutions that are good for that market into that market. So yes, we would like to buy the company, but no other investments in general than the acquisition costs.
And if you were to also expand your existing solutions into new markets, say other countries in the Nordics, would that require any big investments or?
Well, that's what we are sort of have started doing, basically using the teams we already have in the different markets. So our strategy is to, instead of having people go out and say, well, I only have this solution to sell, we can go out and say, hello, Mr. Electrician, we have 3 excellent solutions. Let me talk about them and present those to you. So we don't have to come out and present one solution. We could actually present a portfolio of what we could do to these customers. So I think there are opportunities to synergize in sales. So we don't expect cost to increase due to this scale.
Interesting. And in terms of M&A, you of course have a very strong balance sheet, you have good cash flow, but you haven't done any big acquisitions or in the last 12 months. Could you say something about the reason behind that?
Yeah, like I mentioned, we don't do acquisitions because we have to or because we think we need to in order to increase our growth. We buy companies because they are right. And it's true, like you said, some of the acquisitions we've done lately have been great targeted acquisitions because they've got some great technology that we really, really like. But it's also important to remember, Øystein, that most of the companies in this space, construction companies, are quite small. So they are pretty sort of, up to 5 million euros. That would be the revenue typically. So they are normally not that big anyway. So I think we'll do some. I'm pretty sure we'll do more acquisitions. I'm pretty sure some of them will be bigger than the latest one we bought.
And I guess there have also been quite high price expectations from sellers in the private market. Have those started to come down now so that you may see potential to do more M&A going forward?
I think they have started to come down. I think the few things have happened. First of all, a year ago or up till maybe the summer, we saw quite a lot of noise in the market by big private equity companies wanting to get into this space and then really raising the expectations. They have all disappeared, which is good. So we don't have this noise when we want to go out and have serious discussions with potential targets. But they did raise the expectations and they have not come down to a decent level, which is also one of the reasons why we haven't sort of opened our wallets to buy at too high a cost. I mean, we can sit and wait and see what happens. So I think it's still a bit too expensive, Øystein.
Yeah, that's good that you are quite disciplined in the price you're willing to pay for acquisition targets. That's just good. And I also thought inflation is a big theme these days. Can you say something about how inflation impacts SmartCraft? Have you seen any big impact from inflation, and what do you think going forward?
We've seen some. Of course, there's a bit of inflationary pressure on some people cost and so on. We've seen some inflation on the cost of goods sold, especially on the hosting cost from the big American vendors and so on. They want to pass some of the exchange rate onto us. So we've seen some of that. But also on the other hand, we have not passed any of that cost on to our customers in 2022 at all. I know a lot of software companies have taken the opportunity to say, "Wow, now I'm going to charge you 20% more because we have inflation in the market." We changed the prices about 3 to 5% in the beginning of the year, and we haven't changed them since. Going into 2023, we will change them more than 3 to 5%, more like 6 to 9 to catch up with some of that inflation. But that should also cover the increased cost that we have. And the reason why we're doing this, Øystein, is not because we can't, because we could. We have very low churn. So for us to increase the price by 20% would be no problem at all. We will, of course, get some very angry customers. And that's why we're not doing it, because we have a trust relationship with our customers. We want them to refer us to other customers, because this is an industry where people talk and they refer vendors like us to other customers. So we don't want to abuse that trust relationship.
That makes sense. And lastly, we see there's a more uncertain macro environment right now. If your customers were to see lower demand, there'd be less activity from your customers, how would that impact you, if any?
Yeah, I think what we are mainly concerned about is, and this is also what when we speak to our customers, is that the new building sort of activities could go down. I think that's what most people are concerned about. But on the other hand, there are some, but we are mostly in sort of the service area. Our customers in the SME sector are mainly in service, maintenance, and upgrade, and that sort of happens anyway. I mean, most of that is going to happen anyway. If a pipe bursts or people need to fix something, as an example, if you look at the electro industry and electricians, we have loads of electricians as customers. That's one of the biggest customer bases we have, and remember that. Halogen lamps will be forbidden from 2023. So basically, you can't buy bulbs anymore, which means that you can't, all the systems, all the lamps and so on that has been installed with halogen needs to be changed. And this is very true for myself, because the lighting in my living room is based on halogen and it's now not working. And I need to fix it, and it's quite expensive. So these are some of the positive drivers that is good for the industry, for all the electricians. So they're going to have plenty to do for a long time to come with all the spots and everything that needs to be changed. So I think there are some positive factors, but of course in the newspapers we only read about the negative stuff. And again, the macro trends that I talked about, that still there's loads to do. Our customers have plenty to do. And the documentation needs is just increasing, and there's loads of potential customers for us that need to digitalize in order to be in business. So even both in good and bad days, our customers need SmartCraft and digital solutions to be on top of the game.
Thank you very much, Gustav, for presenting to us here today. And thank you to everyone listening.
Thank you.